I'm a little late this week at getting things done, but I'm glad you could join us for this devotional that comes from the Dora Church of Christ. This morning I was thinking, and I had thought I would do this outside, and I can't see my computer when I do it. But as I was outside, I was thinking about this idea of being able to bask in the sun, to sit and to enjoy it, to absorb and to soak up that warmth that is there. It seems that yesterday evening we went in and I got a second shingle shot. And this morning it was one of those mornings where everything ached, where everything had a pain, and I just swore to the man that I would not be sick, and it wouldn't be a big deal. But it was something that was sore enough for me to want to be out into the sunlight and to take in that warmth, to take in that comfort. And as I began thinking about those things, I began thinking about our life with Christ, who we are, who we should be, what it is we're looking for. Uh, we often say, I wish I could, if I could just talk to God, or if God would just help me out." But I want us to read something in Psalms 119:20. He said, "My soul is crushed with longing after your ordinances at all times." In Isaiah 26, verse 9, he says, "At night my soul longed for you. Indeed, my spirit within me seeks you diligently. For when the earth experiences your judgments, the inhabitants of the world learn righteousness." In both of these instances was the want to have or to be in God's presence, to have that warmth or that comfort bestowed upon them, to have that knowledge, to know that God was God, and that He was there, and that He would care for us, and He would see after us. But you see, we fail to understand that this was the Old Testament. That they could not come in contact with God. They could come into uh, the one, but they could not enter the Holy of Holies. They could not come into the presence of God. They could not be with Him. But it's different for us. You see, we choose. We choose whether we want to be in the presence of God. We decide whether we will live in the presence of God. When we become a Christian, we have this availability to be in the presence of God at all times. It's up to us. It's up to us. I want us to go to Hebrews, the 10th chapter. And start in verse 19. He says, "Therefore, brothers, since we have confidence to enter the holy places by the blood of Jesus." In other words, the veil was removed. We can be in the presence of God permanently, continually, by the new and living way that He opened for us through the curtain, that is, through His flesh, through His death. And since we have a great high priest over the house of God, let us draw near with a true heart in full assurance of faith, with our hearts sprinkled clean from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. You see, He's saying you have the ability to come in to God, to be before Him, to seek Him in all of your needs, to seek Him in your complete life. We have difficulty thinking in that term. I'm in God's presence, or I can be in God's presence at all times. I have to decide that's where I want to be. I have to be looking, seeking God on a continual basis, wanting more and more to be closer and closer to Him. You see, it's up to me. I can stand before God and bask in His warmth, in His comfort, in His strength, in His love, in His care. And all of these things that He is willing to give us as children of His, we have to be willing to seek Him. We have to be willing to want to be in His presence. He says, "Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for He who promised is faithful." You see, it's not up to God. God is faithful. God is there. God is willing to give us all the things that He said He's going to give us. But we often find ourselves in a situation where we have strayed, and we spend our time when something happens saying, "I wish God would help me." We need to come into the presence of God. We need to live in His presence. We need to seek Him. We need to long for Him each day, knowing that we have the real availability of standing in His presence, having all these things promised to us, but it's up to us. No one else can put me there. God can't make me stay there. It has to be that longing. It has to be that want that is deep within mankind who realizes the love that God has set forth when He put His Son on that cross for the salvation of sin, so that one might find that which was the correct place for man. As we go through this week, I want you to think in this idea, am I standing in the presence of God? Do I want to stand in the presence of God? Do I want to live my life for Him? Do I want to walk in His light? Do I want to keep in step with the Spirit? You see, this is the whole idea of all of these little devotionals summed together, is seeking to be in the presence of God, knowing that that's where I should be. That's who I belong to. That's who will care for me. That's who will see after all of my needs if I'm willing to stay with that one who is faithful. That one who is faithful. Seeking Him. Living in His presence, knowing that He covers the sins, or knowing that Christ covered the sins, knowing that He's willing to give me the support, those things that I need, knowing that as I go through this life, it's not this life I'm in search of, it's that life eternal with Him. I hope you will take these things and think about them this week. I hope that you will long to be in God's presence and choose to follow Him closely. I thank you for being here with us this morning, and may God bless you.